Matt McGowan. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the city for allowing us to use the council chambers, for Mr. Darrell for assisting with the setup for tonight, and Zach and IT for guiding us through the program tonight. In this segment, we will have the Republican primary candidates for county clerk, Melinda Humphreys and Erica Newby. Our format will be simple. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. Once each candidate is finished with their introduction, we will begin a series of questions. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to answer each question. 30-second rebuttals will be granted upon the requests of a candidate once each candidate has been given an opportunity to answer the original question. After our questions, each candidate will be given an additional 2 minutes for closing statements. We hope that our audience is as enthusiastic as we are about tonight's forum, but we ask that you hold your applause until the completion of each response. So we'll move to our opening statements. And Erica, you have 2 minutes.
All right. First off, I would like to say thank you to the Christian County Republican Party and the Christian County Young Republicans for hosting this forum and giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Erica Newby. I am the daughter of Donnie Campbell and Vicki Cornelius. I was born and raised here in Christian County. I am a 1994 graduate of Christian County High School. I have 2 associate degrees. I have been a successful small business owner. I worked many years in the medical field at OBGYN Associates. I was the treasurer for Highland Volunteer Fire Department for several years. Most importantly, I have always been a leader. I feel the main role of the county clerk is to lead the office. Lead by example, lead by being present and knowledgeable, lead by working side by side with deputy clerks showing respect and appreciation. During the 7.5 years I worked at the clerk's office, I developed a wealth of knowledge and hands-on experience. I have actively worked in every department with the exception of land records. Through this experience, I also learned that there are areas to which I can make significant improvements, but did not have the authority to do so. This led to my decision in 2020 to run for the county clerk. I want to create positive changes and not let the clerk's office be a continuation of the past 2 decades. My main goals for the clerk's office are customer convenience, innovation, and accountability. I have several plans that I started sharing last year to increase customer convenience. I believe that we can turn the clerk's office into a one-stop shop and reduce the amount of trips to the courthouse that it takes to accomplish your goal. I believe that cross-training employees will help with efficiency in customer service, staffing issues, and encourage teamwork. I believe that we can all agree the hours of operation can use a little adjusting, and I have plans for all of this. I have several long-term and short-term goals of bringing much-needed innovation to the clerk's office. A few examples would be drive-through window service, launch of a 24-hour renewal kiosk system in Kentucky, and an additional location in the Oak Grove area as growth and finances warrant. I look forward to sharing more of my plans with you as we get into questions tonight, and if you would like to discuss more after tonight, I am always available and would love to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. And Melinda, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you all, the Republican Party, for allowing us to be here today. My name is Melinda Humphreys, and I'm a Republican candidate for the Christian County Clerk's position. I'm born and raised here in Christian County. I'm a 1993 graduate from Christian County High School. I also graduated in 1999 from Eastern Kentucky University. I'm a mother of 2 amazing kids. My daughter, Jenna Humphreys, is a junior at Murray State University, and my son, Weston, will be graduating this May from Christian County High School. I began my career at the clerk's office at the age of 26, which that was in January of 2001. That just told you my age, I think. I have worked in each of the departments at the clerk's office that is based in customer service. I am a supervisor for several of the departments, and I'm also the co-op coordinator for the clerk's office, which allows our high school students to work from 12 to 4 and get real hands-on work experience. Excuse me. I believe I'm probably better known in the workforce as the election coordinator for Christian County. I have stepped down from that position because obviously my name is on the ballot. But I'm available for the election staff for consulting and answering questions when needed. I am excited to be a candidate for the Christian County Clerk's Office. 20 years of working in that courthouse, it feels like a second home to me. I genuinely care for the customers that walk in and out of those doors and the employees. I am motivated to be present and accessible to this community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Humphrey. All right, so we will move on to our first question now, and this will go to Melinda first.
Sure.
In the private sector, when a customer is displeased with the service of business, they have the option to take their business elsewhere. Should you be elected, how will you ensure that your customers are pleased with your service and choose to bring you back for a second term?
Well, I believe that all revolves around customer service. For me, that would mean being patient and listening. A lot of our customers, they come in, they don't understand the transactions, they don't understand what's required of them. We have to allow us to be patient and understanding that it's our job to make sure that we give them proper information. We need to make sure that we continue to have a positive and upbeat atmosphere at the clerk's office. Making sure that the needs are met in a positive manner and showing respect for each other and respect for our customers. As county clerk, I would set that example and lead by that example. Thank you.
Thank you. And Erica, I'll repeat the question.
Thank you.
In the private sector, when a customer is displeased with the service of business, they have the option to take their business elsewhere. Should you be elected, how will you ensure that your customers are pleased with your service and choose to bring you back for a second term?
I believe that one of the main focuses that I would have is customer convenience. With the one-stop shop having to reduce the number of trips to the courthouse that it takes to get your task completed is a much-needed convenience up there. Vehicle inspections being performed at the courthouse at the same place that your titling is done so that you don't have to come back and forth would be a big convenience, and I believe that Sheriff DeArmond already has that in progress. A more informative website so that once they can get on the website and look and be more informed of what they will need before they get up there so that they won't have to make several trips. I believe that office hours need to be more convenient for the residents of Christian County. I feel this is very important to the community since the late Thursday night hours were removed. And I would like to implement longer office hours by having 2 shifts of employees. For example, some that come in and open around 7, and then they would typically work for 8 hours, leave at 3. And then a second shift that would come in at 9, so that way the office would be open longer, but it would not increase any cost to payroll. I believe that you shouldn't have to have an appointment to have anything done that is up there. If it is a service that is performed by that office, you should be able to walk in and do that at any time. I feel like there are a lot of small things that make a big difference in customer convenience that would make the residents of Christian County happier, and that would continue my election.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to our second question. This one goes to Erica first. Why did you decide to run for county clerk, and what makes you the most qualified candidate for this position?
Well, I believe that we're both qualified. We both have a lot of experience up there, and we both really care about the job. What made me run for county clerk was when I worked up there, it is very frustrating for the employees and the customers that come up there for things to just not make sense, to not be convenient, to not be ran to the best way possible. And when you present solutions, they just turned a blind ear to it. And so it was very frustrating to have a problem and to have a solution and no one would listen and no one would help. And then you get yelled at all day long, every day by the residents because of something that you're like, I'm sorry, my hands are tied. I have no control over it. So that is what made me choose to run for county clerk so that I could implement some of those changes that would make it more convenient for the residents of Christian County.
Okay, thank you. And the same question to you, Melinda. Why did you decide to run for county clerk, and what makes you the most qualified candidate for this position?
This is not just a job for me. This is a large part of who I am and the person that I want to be. I didn't just decide overnight to run for clerk. This has been something that has been a goal of mine for years. It was about timing for me, though. There were 2 things that were important. I wanted to make sure that my children were young adults when I decided to run. My oldest was 6 weeks old when I began my career at the clerk's office, and she is now 21. My son's 18. I wanted to make sure that they, excuse me, were focused on their careers and their education, and that they were chasing their own goals and their own dreams, which they are. And then I wanted to be sure that I was ready for the responsibility of being a county clerk, which I am. The 21 years of experience and dedication has provided me with the knowledge and the understanding to make positive improvements that are necessary for our office to run effectively and efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move on to our third question now. And Melinda, this will go to you first.
Sure.
What are your three main goals that you are looking to accomplish during your first term? And how do you plan on accomplishing those goals?
Thank you. There's several that, more than just three, but if I had to choose, focusing on inexpensive ways for us to be more accessible to the public, for one. I know that my oppositions mentioned several of those things. Inexpensive is key for me. Just today, I had someone call and say, they're out of town, their tags are about to expire. Can I please pay by phone? I said, I'm sorry, I don't have that capability to do that. How convenient would that be? Not everyone has internet access. Not everyone has a computer, or some people don't even like using computers. But most everyone has a phone, a landline, or a cell phone. And having them have the ability to just pay over the phone, well, they don't even have to leave their home. So having that capability, and me being accessible. As I mentioned, I've worked in each department at the courthouse that is related to customer service. So I would be accessible, if that means working right alongside the deputy clerks, answering phones, whatever it needs to happen, I will be hands-on. The next one is pushing for competitive wages and for a budget that will allow us to hire more deputies to be accessible. We can do all these things and make all these improvements. If we don't have enough people working for us, it's not going to matter. A little background, there are magistrates that make up several committees, the budget committees, the building committees, the finance committees. Those committees are the ones that actually decide what money the county clerk's office can spend. So I will push for competitive wages. The value, we have excellent staff, by the way, and their knowledge is crucial in us being accessible. That type of job, and I know Ms. Newby will agree, it's not something you learn in 5 to 7 business days. It takes weeks, sometimes months, to be able to learn and understand the concept and learn the KRSs and all the regulations that we must follow. We need people to be able to want to make a career out of the clerk's office. For example, when I got the job, my grandmother and my mother both told me, don't leave. And I'm like, okay, get your foot in the door. I'm like, okay, why? Well, people didn't leave. The benefits were amazing. The retirement was great. The pay was wonderful. That's not the case anymore, especially, everyone knows that. At least we could be competitive in our wages to be able to allow the deputy clerks to make a career at the clerk's office. The next would be a standard of exceptional quality service and accountability. I would love for us to be able to put an online survey on our website that people can share their experience, the good, the bad. You have to learn. And that's how we can better serve the public. And then have the surveys there. They're welcome to take them and mail them back, email them back, whatever the case may be. We have to hear from our community in order to understand and better serve the community. For me, making sure that our customers and employees feel valued and respected is my top priority. And I believe that positivity and communication are key components in having a successful office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Erica, same question to you. What are your three main goals that you are looking to accomplish during your first term? And how do you plan on accomplishing those goals?
I have a lot more than three. I know we both do. One, I think that annual budgets and audits need to be easily accessible on the county website for all residents to view. This office handles $16+ million a year, and that requires transparency and accuracy. Currently, only the audits are available on the website. Currently, there is no department in the clerk's office that has a supervisor that is sitting in the department with the deputy clerks that are working there. I feel that a supervisor in each department should be located in the room with the employees. This ensures that accurate and current information is being relayed to the customers, and quick intervention, should a situation arise, it can be de-escalated quickly. I believe in clerk accountability. I will be present in the office daily unless other obligations such as physical court, clerk conventions, other things of that nature conflict. I will be there to listen and to meet the needs of the residents that elected me to the position. I don't feel that you need to take a poll to relay on information to me if I am there and you can come and speak directly to me. I don't know about you all, but I rarely ever even take the poll on the bottom of my receipt that I could win a $500 gift card if I took. So I don't think that many people would benefit from that. Another main goal that I would have is to restructure the co-op student program. Currently, they are only really utilized in the renewal department. I would implement a broader utilization of the students, teaching them of government operations, business structure, grant research, election laws, and process. This is an opportunity to expose future community leaders to the workings of local government, and hopefully they will want to stay or return to Christian County and make a positive impact on our community. Another big thing that I have is expanding cross-training of employees. I think this helps to reduce staffing issues, ensuring coverage where needed, and encourages teamwork. Employees should be able to answer customer questions for every department, maybe not as in depth as they do in their own department, but at a minimum, they should be able to answer the question or call the other department instead of sending that customer across the hall to go wait in line again so that they can ask that department that question. I think that this would just help increase efficiency for customer service. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
There's more, but
All right, we'll move on
Go
to
on,
our
please.
last question. And this one's going to go to you first, Erica.
okay.
We live in the information age, the age of technology. The percentage of our population made up by millennials and Gen Zers is now well over 40%. What can you do to make sure that the clerk's office maintains a brick and mortar presence while also appealing to those from younger generations?
So I think that the website definitely needs to be more interactive. They go to Google for everything, Google, DuckDuckGo, whatever you choose. But if you have, most of the time, say a younger generation is not going to know how to transfer a title because they've never had to do it. They've never bought a car before. Maybe this is their first one. If you have a step-by-step process that tells you on the website everything that you need to do, and you can click here. It's almost like when you were a child and you had the choose your own ending books, and you choose one ending and you go to page this, click on each option that relates to you and your situation, and it will tell you what you need and all the steps that you need to go through, whether things have to be notarized, whether you need the original or a photocopy is accepted. A lot of those things are what people get up there and they don't have the correct thing and they get sent away for, and that's very frustrating for everyone. So I think that if the website is updated and interactive, that it would appeal to them better.
Okay, thank you. And the same question to you, Melinda. We live in the information age, the age of technology. The percentage of our population made up by millennials and Gen Zers is now well over 40%. What can you do to make sure the clerk's office maintains a brick and mortar presence while still appealing to the younger generations?
Thank you. I still believe in people, and I realize that we are in an age of technology. But I still have people every day that have gotten on our website. They've gone on Frankfurt's website. They've gone on the SOS website. They've gone on all the websites. And what do they still do? They still call. And they still want to talk to a person. They still want you. They need that security. I understand that the website may not be user-friendly for everyone, but you can only put so much information, and then people just stop. Sometimes it's too much. Being able to allow them maybe to know exactly which department they're going to need, give them the basic information, and then say, please call us before you make a trip to the clerk's office. So then we as people can communicate with a person on exactly it is. They've got the basis, sure. Now, if they have a title coming from Florida versus Wisconsin, you may have different percentages of taxes when we're talking about transfers. There is a different, everyone's situation that walks in that door is unique. Most of us don't just have one renewal, we have three. We probably have back taxes or expired tags, or maybe we need an affidavit signed. You don't know that till you get there, because we won't know until you're in front of us. So yes, being able to have some information provided on the website obviously is crucial, and we do. And we have links to Kentucky State Board of Elections. We have links to drive.ky.gov, and that information is provided on there with them as well. So I still believe in making sure that a customer can talk to a person, because I will have them call and say, thank you, I got a person on the other line. I want to be able to talk to someone instead of having a voice recorder or having to be forced to go online to find out information. So I think it is important, yes, to make sure it's available online, but also important enough that our customers are able to call in and talk to someone as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
And we'll move on to our closing statements now. And Erica, you will be going first now in 2 minutes.
I'm very passionate about getting rid of the negative stigma associated with the courthouse. It is time for a change, and the residents of Christian County deserve an innovative, efficient, and accountable clerk's office, a new perspective, a new vision, and new leadership that will take the initiative to make things happen. My name is Erica Newby, and I humbly ask for your vote on May 17th, and together we can make great changes. Thank you.
And Melinda, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. Someone very important told me, it was a professor. He said, you're not perfect, and neither am I. But you can try to do better and be better than the person that you were yesterday. I have tried to apply that in my everyday life, personally and professionally. Voters, I want you to remember something. You are the employer. When you vote, you are doing the hiring. We work for you. So when you cast your ballot, consider the qualifications and the experience of a candidate. I take pride in my job, and I enjoy the people that I work with. With my 21 years of experience and dedication, and of course with your votes, I want you to elect me and allow me the responsibility of being your next Christian County clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, ladies, for your participation tonight. That concludes our forum for County Clerk. Please join us at 5:30 for our Sheriff's Forum. And don't forget to exercise your constitutional right to vote on May 17th. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to tonight's primary forum hosted by the Christian County Republican Party and the Christian County Young Republicans. My name is Matt McGowan. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the city for allowing us to use the council chambers tonight, for Daryl for assisting us with the setup for tonight, and Zach for seeing us through with the IT department tonight. In this segment, we will have a Republican primary candidate for sheriff. Our format will be simple. We will ask the candidate to have a 2-minute introductory statement. We will ask a series of 3 questions. Please keep your responses limited to 3 minutes. And then we'll go straight into our closing statements. Unfortunately, our candidate here tonight, his opponent was not able to make it. So we only have Sheriff Tyler DeArmond with us here tonight. We hope that our audience is as enthusiastic as we are about tonight's forum, but we ask that you hold your applause until the completion of each response. And so with that, we'll go straight into our opening statements. Sheriff DeArmond, 2 minutes, please.
All right, thank you. And again, I want to thank you guys for hosting this forum. I think this is the first Republican forum that we've had, and I appreciate the opportunity to have a platform for the citizens of Christian County to hear the candidate speak. And for the past 18 years, I've been a dedicated servant to Christian County as a law enforcement professional. During my first term, we implemented body-worn cameras for all deputies. We held community forums, inviting the public to open discussion, and in 2020, we held our first ever Citizen Sheriff's Academy. These steps were taken to foster good relationships with all who reside in our community and the deputies who serve them. In 2019, 2 new positions were created within the department, which also allowed more deputies on the road, responding to the needs of the community and allowing more visibility. Adding both a transport deputy and a civil service deputy has allowed us as a department to focus more on law enforcement and calls for service. I'm also proud to announce the formation of our anti-crime unit, which focuses on narcotics, crime sprees, violent felon apprehension, and violent crimes. Since I've been your sheriff, the Christian County Sheriff's Office has seized over $100,000 in drug money that allows us to purchase useful and much-needed equipment at no cost to the taxpayers. Also, in my first term as your sheriff, we made updates to our policy and procedure manuals for the Christian County Sheriff's Office to provide a consistent standard policing for the citizens of Christian County. I firmly believe that this creates a higher standard of accountability for myself and the deputies serving our community. I remain committed to ensuring greater levels of accountability to the citizens of Christian County. More importantly, we have made every effort to be involved in many community events, such as Touch a Truck, Operation Safe Halloween, school lunch mobs to eat and interact with our kids. Our agency also hosted a pet adoption event in 2021 in partnership with various pet rescues. We believe that being involved now will lay a solid foundation for the future of our community. As I seek another term of service, I will continue to focus on making our agency the best it can be while putting the community first. We will continue to be good stewards of your tax money. We will look for ways to deter crime and provide the best law enforcement service possible. So in closing, I would like to thank you, and again, for holding this forum to give us a platform to talk and to share our views.
Thanks, Sheriff. All right, we'll move on to our first question. Violent crime has risen nationwide since the beginning of the pandemic. How do you plan on maintaining public safety in Christian County?
Well, as I mentioned in the opening remarks, one thing that we did, and we started our anti-crime unit, which focuses on violent crimes and the narcotic suppression in our area. So that's going to be our primary focus. We have 3 dedicated detectives now that's working on apprehending the violent felons and holding them accountable to their actions.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our second question. And this one was regarding officer safety. What policies would you implement to better equip and protect your deputies while they are doing their duties?
So one of the first things we did in 2019 was review our policy and procedure manuals and make sure they're up to date and with current times. One of the biggest things would be the policy that we created, which also goes hand in hand with equipment, would be the body-worn cameras. For obvious reason, that protects the deputies as they do their job and the citizens that we're serving. So the number one thing would be on our policies is our body-worn camera policy. And like all of our other policies, they're all depend on what the times are and what we're doing at the time as we continue to review them.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to our third and our last question. What are your top 3 priorities for leading the sheriff's office the next 4 years?
So my top 3 priorities, number 1 priority is always going to be and always has been is public safety, ensuring that our deputies are providing the service that citizens need as we respond to calls. Our safety is always number 1. My second priority would be growth. With the size county we have, we need to grow within the department. We need more manpower. We need more deputies. And that's going to be one of my primary focuses as we're coming up. We need to add to our anti-crime unit to deal with the drug epidemic that's going on, and we need to grow the department. Our county is one of the largest landmass counties in the state, and staffing-wise, we're 32 sworn deputies. McCracken County is running 45 sworn deputies with a smaller landmass. So we can cut down response time, be more visible, and be more proactive and serve the citizens if we grow within the department. My third priority, I would say, would be our community involvement. We did several initiatives when I took over, like the lunch mobs with the kids, Operation Safe Halloween, and several other things that the department does itself. But we need to grow that interaction and continue to build on our community trust.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to our closing statement. And 2 minutes, Sheriff.
So in closing, I just want to thank you again. And also, I want to thank the citizens of Christian County that entrusted me the last 4 years and voted for me and supported me in 2018. Again, I ask for you to show up and vote on May 18th in the sheriff primary, and I would ask for your vote on May 18th or May 17th. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes our forum for sheriff. Please join us at 6:30 for our mayor's debate. And don't forget to exercise your constitutional right to vote on May 17th. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to tonight's primary forum hosted by the Christian County Republican Party and the Christian County Young Republicans. My name is Matt McGowan. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the city for allowing us to use the council chambers, Daryl for assisting us with setting up for tonight, and for Zach and IT for helping us get through this process. In this segment, we will have both Republican and Democratic primary candidates for mayor. Our format will be simple. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. Once each candidate is finished with their introduction, we will begin a series of questions. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to answer each question. 30-second rebuttals will be granted upon the request of a candidate once each candidate has been given an opportunity to answer the original question. After our questions, each candidate will be given an additional 2 minutes for closing statements. We hope that our audience is as enthusiastic as we are about tonight's forum, but we ask that you hold your applause until the completion of each question. Tonight we have with us Councilwoman Alethea West, Mr. James Knight, and Mr. Vince Farrell. And we are going to begin our opening statements with Mr. Knight. 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McGowan. Thank you to the Republican Party, and thank you to the city for letting us host this here tonight. Thank you, Councilman West, Mr. Farrell, for being here tonight with us. I'm a lifelong resident of Hopkinsville. I've run a small business here for over 30 years. I got 3 children, 2 granddaughters, and hope to have more before long on that. I believe in Hopkinsville. Hopkinsville is a great place, and it is a place for us to live, a place for us to grow, and it's a place for us to have family come home to. I believe we can have more jobs with small business and large businesses. I feel like we can make our community great and better all the way around. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Farrell, 2 minutes.
Yes, I want to echo and thank you so much for hosting this. And again, thank you, Ms. West and Mr. Knight, for being here, taking your time to help answer some of the questions, because it is important that our voters have a full understanding when it comes to this election. So my name is Vince Farrell. I'm running for mayor of Hopkinsville because I love our city. I love the people in our city, and I want to see Hopkinsville become all that it can be. And I do know that it's going to take a lot of work to get to that point. And I feel like with my giftings and abilities as an individual in our town, that I can help move Hopkinsville forward. I'm very relatable, I'm very reachable, and I'm a people person. And that's what I think the solution lies in, the people. It's why I, as a regular citizen of our town, am running for mayor of Hopkinsville. I believe not just here in our city, but across the nation, it's time that we as citizens play a bigger role in our cities. And so I'm hoping to, along with the support of our city individuals and community partners, business leaders, and those who make up our great city, can help us unite and then move forward and answer the issues that are addressing our city by working together. It's going to take every citizen that lives here, that works here, that plays here, united front to move Hopkinsville forward in the direction it needs to go. And so I hope you'll remember me this May 17th when you vote Vince Farrell for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. And Councilwoman West, 2 minutes for your opening statement.
All right, thank you. Well, hello to everyone, and especially to the Republican Party, because this is my first time actually participating in a Republican Party debate. So thank you all for the invitation. To my opponents here, thank you for being kind, and I greatly appreciate that. As many of you all know, my name is Councilwoman Alethea West, and I'm currently serving on the Hopkinsville City Council for Ward 3. And if you don't know where Ward 3, that's the Sanderson Drive, Evergreen Park Drive area. I am running for mayor. I'm running for mayor because I like people, and I believe in this city. This city is, it's a great city. It can be even greater if we come together, especially with a lot of bipartisanship. And so that is something that I want to push and to promote. A little background about me. I was born and raised here in Hopkinsville. I graduated from Christian County High School. I graduated from Hopkinsville Community College, and I also graduated from Murray State with a master's degree in teacher leadership. I love teaching. I love empowering people because we all make each other better. And I truly believe that Hopkinsville can be better. I have birthed one daughter. She doesn't live here in the city. She actually lives out of state. I'm a member of Born Again Church in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a born again believer. And so because of the way that I live my life and my beliefs, I lead in a similar way. I respect other people's differences. However, I know where I stand when it comes to my beliefs. In regards to the manifestation of this city, it's going to take all of us, as I have said before. However, we must look at the part that we play, we must contribute, and we must help the ones who cannot contribute as much to be better and to be stronger. We have 12 wards in this city, and every ward in this city should have economic mobility. I want that for each ward. However, I believe that the only way we can get that is by helping one another see the potential that they have. Every individual in the city has potential, has purpose, and I am that leader that can help another person see the potential that they have within themselves and motivate them and encourage them to let's try for something different. Again, my name is Councilwoman Alethea West. I'm running for mayor. I would love to have your vote on May 17th. And at the end of this, I just ask you to continue to be kind and patient with one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And we'll move on with our first question. And the first question is going to go to you, Mr. Farrell. It has two parts to it. How would you encourage the development of our downtown without placing financial burden on taxpayers? And how would you hold property owners accountable to current ordinances?
Well, downtown is one of my passions. I love the fact of just the layout and how it is. If you compare it to other cities, we don't have the huge hills people have to walk up. So I think we have some great foundations to really see the downtown grow and be utilized. I think to answer the first part of the question, we've got to get back to creating civic pride. Every time I talk to individuals in our community, they always are saying what can't be done or afraid of what they could possibly do. And so I believe I'm the type of leader that is a motivational, that praises and puts people first. And so we've got to create a culture in our community that is different than what is currently here. Getting back to people being proud to be in Hopkinsville. When that happens, that trickles down into the other aspects of people wanting to move into downtown. Now, there are obstacles because our biggest hurdle is property owners who refuse to get their buildings ready. And so I want to empower entrepreneurs while at the same time holding responsible and accountable building owners who don't understand that their inaction is causing huge ripple effects in our town. And so we've got to be able to have open dialogue, honest dialogue with those that own the buildings to be able to say to them, if you're not willing to get the building ready for entrepreneurs and people in our city, then we're going to step in. I believe the city owes it to our community to be leading the charge and helping downtown get revitalized.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. And Councilwoman, same question to you. How would you encourage the development of our downtown without placing the financial burden on taxpayers? And how would you hold property owners accountable to current ordinances?
Okay, thank you. Currently, right now in Hopkinsville, we are supporting our downtown through the community development services. So I just think that what we need to do is look at what we have currently done. Also look at the plan that we have in place with the Walker Collaborative. Look at what we have in place, see if we need to revitalize the plan that we have in place. And from there, we build out from that. Because we have been working with the Walker Collaborative, I believe, for maybe 10 or more years, but yet we are still revitalizing downtown. So we have to take a look. What are we doing right? What are we not doing right? And then how can we fix it? Staying within the boundaries of the money that we have already allocated so that we won't put a continuous burden on the taxpayers. Downtown Hopkinsville is great. However, I believe strongly like this. We want to fix up downtown, but yet we want to keep our neighborhoods in a mess. You cannot leave your neighborhoods in a disaster and yet fix up downtown. We have to think about downtown and think about our neighborhoods, because the people who's going to come downtown are the people from the neighborhoods. So we got to take a look at that. So even though I kind of digressed just a little bit. Now, holding people accountable. If we are going to hold some people accountable, we have to hold all people accountable who own businesses in downtown. Everyone must follow the same plan. However, if you want people to be accountable, then you're going to have to establish a relationship with them, and you have to treat them fairly. You can't have favorites, because if you have favorites, then people know that, and then people are not going to do right. In regards to one particular business downtown, his business been in the situation for a long time, but what I know is that we do not have a good relationship with him. So in order for us to move forward, I think we have to develop some positive relationships with people. We have to also, as a city, apologize for the problems that we have created as well. Are we making things easier for people who own businesses downtown to come into CDS to do what they have to do? We have to ask that question. We have to also be responsible and acknowledge the part that we play as a city, because we don't always get it right. But I think as a city leader, as a mayor, I will stand in the gap and say, I am sorry for some of the problems that our citizens have faced. And together, we're going to work together to try to get them done. So downtown, to all those businesses, I'm sorry that things were difficult for you, but with my leadership, we are going to work together to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Mr. Knight, same question to you. How would you encourage the development of our downtown without placing the financial burden on taxpayers? And how would you hold property owners accountable to current ordinances?
Well, we have to go talk to these property owners and businesses. You know, we have some that are really bad off that have not been taken care of, and we need to go talk to these people and ask them why and what can we do to move this forward, because with a black eye on our downtown is having a black eye on our whole town. And we also have to work on our neighborhoods coming into downtown. You know, they're all part of the town, and coming into downtown, you have to have a nice view of coming into the town. But downtown property owners, business owners, we need to help them and move them forward in the best way we can. Now, if they don't want to, we need to go down and talk to CDS and zoning and codes, and let's have a conversation with them that way. Because we have ordinances on the books that are there to be used. And, you know, I'm not saying we got to fine everybody. I'm not saying anything like that. But we also got to figure out how to make them move forward on these businesses that are in these buildings that are falling down. You know, they didn't fall down overnight. You know, I remember when we played at Casey Oaks, we wore the little horse out with a roll of dimes. You know, Mom and them shopped at Cassie Kids Corners, Keach's across the street, Montgomery Wards. You know, a lot of businesses were downtown. Downtown was very vibrant. I think we can make it vibrant again.
Thank you, sir.
Right here. One more.
Yes,
Yeah.
30 seconds for rebuttal, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you. I want to echo what Ms. West said, because I so appreciate that we have to work together to make life worth living in Hoptown. And that's one of my first things that I have been doing when I first stepped on the field of running for mayor. And that is, you mentioned business owners downtown. In connecting with business owners, those that are active, and then those who, like you said, have not been too cooperative. That's the first thing I've been doing in meeting those gentlemen, meeting those business owners, so I can develop the relationship to be able to speak into the future when we do need to make some of those hard decisions. Because we're only going to move forward if we are committed to do it together. That's why I'm going to be working hand in hand with not only business owners downtown, but neighborhood societies like I've already been doing, so we can together see the complete whole of our city move forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Farrell. All right, we'll move on to the second question, and Councilwoman, this one goes to you first. What would be your top priorities for the city budget?
Top priority for the city budget, as many of you all know, the city is in good shape when it comes to the budgeting of our money. We have good reserves, and we have made some good investments. We have great businesses that we have invested in, which includes downtown. But in regards to the budget, the top things that I would deal with is the unnecessary, when I say unnecessary spending, as I probably shouldn't, not the word I should use, spending that does not show us measurement. Every dollar that we spend should give us a return, whether that be a return for dollar, or whether that be a return on economic mobility. That's what we should have. So any money that we are spending that is not measured, that is not monitored, we need to take a look at that to see if we're actually getting a return on our investment. Because if we're shelling out money to different organizations, but we're not getting a return on our dollar, we may need to rethink that and allocate that money for something else. So the top things that I would deal with, I would try to bring in some, not try, I will bring in, establish a homeless coalition, because we have a homeless issue here we need to deal with. We have a youth development issue here in this city. We do not invest any money in our children here in this city. No matter what neighborhood you live in, we are not investing money. Now, we do give money to organizations, but we are not investing. And so those are the two things that I would address. The third thing would be neighborhood development. If we want to thrive economically as a city, we have to address our neighborhoods. And every neighborhood does not require the same amount of attention. Great Oaks is a neighborhood that's thriving very well by itself. However, on the east side, it's not thriving as well. And so therefore, you do not allocate the same amount, because it has different needs. And so we have to start analyzing, what can we do to make our neighborhoods better? Now, the reason why I want to do that is because if we get all of our neighborhoods thriving and we are making money, then that means we're going to start to grow economically. And that is what we need. That is the responsibility of a mayor, to get people to aspire to stay here, to drive economic growth, and to provide a healthy quality of life for this city. And those are the three things that I want to do. Again, addressing homelessness, youth development, and neighborhood development. And when we have those things, we will start generating more money.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And the same question to you, Mr. Knight. What would be your top priorities for the city budget?
Top priority for city budget is we got to sit down and look at every agency that's getting money and every department that's getting money. We've got to look at what they're spending. They got to be accountable for every dollar they're spending and why they're spending it, instead of saying all we need. This is what we wishing we had. Now, what do you really need? And that's our question in each department. You know, we have to sit down and ask them, where are we going to spend? How are we going to cut if we have to cut? Because I cannot go back and keep asking the citizens of Hopkinsville for more money out of their paycheck because we think we need something else. You know, police department, fire department, water, sanitation, that's what we have to provide. But we have all these other organizations and agencies that we are providing for that are a great part of our city, but we also got to fund everything. And my thing is, we have to work the budget and make sure the budget is where we can use it.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. And Mr. Farrell, same question to you. What would be your top priorities for the city budget?
I'd like to echo what I said in the last forum, and that is public safety. We've got to increase, we've got to increase the allotment towards the men and women that are risking their lives every day. And so when you look at area towns around us and financially what they're getting paid, even though we're not too far behind, we need to stop trying to play catch up when it comes to honoring the men and women financially who are risking their lives every day. Ms. West talked about the homeless issue. I would put that with the safety, simply because we have to work together in that department to making sure our downtown, our homelessness issues are taken care of. When I've talked to the organizations that deal with strategically the homeless, I'm very encouraged to know that this is an issue that can be solved. I'd also want to put finances towards the issues in our community that people have just not been utilizing. I know that the Greenway gets a lot of bad rap. They call it nicknames and things of that nature. But if we are to be strategic with the things that that we have in our city, I think we can actually utilize that to help grow businesses, grow things in our town that people want to attend and go to and make life worth living. The last thing is I'm very passionate about the next generation. And so if we're going to help in the safety aspect, in utilizing plans that we already have in our city and reach across neighborhoods that can't partake in some of the things our town has, then we have to do a better job in strategically working with departments like our public school system, like our transportation and more, to be able to utilize and build and fill these empty buildings with some places that our teenagers love to spend time with. Because if we can reach the next generation, it's going to have a trickle-down effect and make our city healthier, safer, and more oriented for business growth in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell.
I would like to rebuttal.
Councilwoman West, 30
Okay.
seconds, please.
I just want to bring this to you all's attention regarding law enforcement and fire and safety. One thing I can say about our city, we have consistently supported our first responders.
Sure.
We have in our budget, we allocate about $10 million for police and between 8 and 9 for fire. So as a city, we are supporting our law enforcement. Then we just allocated $1.2 million for brand new body cams that are automated. What that means is that they'll come on automatically by themselves. If an officer speeds or if his lights come on, that camera is coming on. So we are trying to provide, we are providing safety for our citizens. However, we do have a youth crime problem. Also, to ensure the safety of our citizens, we just installed 10 new flock camera systems, and then the chief just asked for more. So I need you all to understand and to know that as a city, we are trying to ensure that you are protected, that you are safe. However, when it comes to the young generation, they are struggling in that area, and we are looking to address that. And I do have a plan for our youth. Thank you.
I'm not saying we don't, but of that $10 million budget, 8.2 is used for salaries, which only leaves a little bit left over to do some of those things. It's why he's had to come back and ask for more. What I'm saying is if we are down 20 plus officers, we need to make sure that they have all the tools needed.
And they have the tools that they need. They do have the tools. Our officers are not underfunded at all. On top of that, we have just authorized for for incentives for them. So I do understand what you're saying. However,
Okay.
we cannot.
I just want to
We
make
can't-
sure I was clarifying
Yes, I
that
do.
I wasn't saying the
But we
city
cannot,
doesn't,
we
but we
cannot
just
send
need to
a
put more
message. We
focus to
can't
make
send a
sure
message to our
that
citizens
their
that
salaries
they're
are
not protected.
comparable to
Because
what
when you
everyone else is
send
move
a
on.
doing.
message
Let's move
to
on to
our
Mr. Knight.
citizens that they are not protected, then they become fearful. And no one in this town should be fearful that you're going to be harmed. We
Thank you.
have ensured safety for you.
Right, and that's
So
what
I
I'm
do
saying.
not-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we
Let's
have
Yeah.
Go ahead and
We
move on,
do
Mr.
not,
Knight.
Under
Mr.
under
Knight,
no
30 seconds, please.
circumstances, we do not need to send a message of fear.
That's right.
Well, we do not need to send a message of fear, Ms. West, but we have a problem with our city police department. When
I
you-
understand,
When
but
you
we
only
have-
have 3 or 4 officers on duty for 30,000 people in the night shift, we have a problem. We do. Because, right, so we're going to say we got 30,000 people in Hopkinsville.
So do you have factual evidence to support that we only have 3 police officers on duty per shift?
Evening shift. Yes,
Uh-uh.
ma'am.
You show me the factual evidence for that.
I'll get
Because
you
what,
some.
because what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna send out a message that we are lying to our citizens and that they are not protected. We don't
Right.
have time for that. And as a leader,
Right.
you have a responsibility to ensure to these people that they are safe and tell them the truth
let's-
regarding the fire,
We're going to
the
get back
police
to our, we're
department.
going to get back to our time limit now. Does anybody else want another 30 seconds to address that?
No.
Okay, all right, thank
No.
you. We'll move on to question number 3, and this one goes to Mr. Knight first. On the same topic, how would you work with the chief of police and our local law enforcement to minimize crime? 3 minutes, Mr. Knight.
Well, city police, I'd work with very diligently. We have to work with them, and we have to admit we have a problem in Hopkinsville. We have a crime problem, we have a gang problem, we have a drug problem. And when we sit here and say we don't have that, we have a problem. When the mayor says it, the chief says it, and the city council all finally agree and say we have a problem, then we can move forward. Instead of saying, oh, let's don't look at it, let's close our eyes. We got to quit turning a blind eye to it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knight. And Mr. Farrell, same question to you. How would you work with the chief of police and our local law enforcement to minimize crime? 3 minutes.
Since COVID, every department in America has suffered with bringing in new police officers. So we're no exception. When talking to the chief, I'm very encouraged to hear that his department is doing the best that they can. I'm very pleased to hear that City Council is allotting more finances for not only body cams, but cameras across areas of high traffic. And so our police is doing a fantastic job. One thing that I believe has to happen is we have to develop some additional programs within our neighborhoods to help monitor and keep our neighborhoods safe. Because it doesn't matter how many police you have on the task force, it's got to get back down to a grassroots issue. In meeting with neighborhoods just a couple days ago, and the police chief being there, being able to hear and talk about the ideas that the citizens are bringing to the table is very encouraging. And that's where I believe we have to bridge that gap. And I, as your mayor, am going to be a front runner to help make sure our citizens know that this is a safe town, that we do have dedicated men and women at their beck and call to make sure they are meeting the needs of each individual neighborhood. And so, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. And Councilwoman, same question to you. How would you work with the chief of police and our local law enforcement to minimize crime? 3 minutes.
Well, as we all know right now that that our chief of police and our local law enforcement, they are diligently working, and we know that they are. However, one thing that I want to do differently under my leadership is we need to address the root cause. Why are our children struggling with gun violence? Why are our children raping each other? So we have to start addressing root cause. So yes, we can work with the police department because they are going to do their job and they're going to remain trained. However, what I would like to do differently is establish a youth job certification program. I want to go after the children that are worst of the worst, the children that have been sent off to juvenile detention, the children who are in the custody of a CDW or a social worker. What we need to do is we need to establish a program to invest in our children that we are not doing. So under my leadership, the youth development program would be like this. We will teach them how to apply for a job, how to maintain a job, conflict resolution, personal finance, and housing, how to live on your own. Because some of these young people come out of a home that's not worth anything. And so if you've never been taught how to live, not survive, but how to live, then who's going to teach you? So true enough, that is not the responsibility of the city. However, we know that we have a problem with youth and crime. So therefore, we are going to have to invest in them so that we can get something different. Now, with this youth job certification program, are we doing it every month? No, because that is not the job of the city. But what we will do is we will do it quarterly. And if we get 10 kids in that program and 5 make it through, that means we got a 50% return on our investment in investing in our youth so that they can have a different life. And then when we talk about our neighborhoods, if we take a look at Dirt Avenue and we talk about ordinances, why do we have rundown houses over in Dirt Avenue? Why do we have burnt houses that have not been demolished? We have not, as a city, we have not held people accountable for doing what you're supposed to do by taking that house down or repairing that house. If you leave trash in a neighborhood forever and forever and forever, that plays on the psyche of your mind. And we cannot expect children who live in Dirt Avenue to go to school in Millbrook to say, oh, okay, their neighborhood is nice, but ours look like crap. Why? That's on us as a city. We have to be responsible for the part that we play in not revitalizing our neighborhoods to the as attentive as we could. So I want to get to the root cause so that I can help the police department.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Knight, 30 seconds, please.
Okay. Ms. West, you're correct on the problem there with the, like Dirt Avenue. They don't have the same problems that Great Oaks have or anything like that. But our city has let that neighborhood down, in my eyes. You know, we have code enforcement that has not done their job. They have not even attempted to do their job. When I campaigned back in 2019, the same houses are boarded up. Some of them are still burnt out. Some of them have still got the old junk cars sitting there on blocks, and trash is still running around the house. And our city has not enforced their codes that we have on the books. It's in that book right there. And it's not your fault. It's our CDS board that we paid that is supposed to be in charge of that. And I
Thank you,
feel
Mr.
like
Knight.
we have to look at that.
All right. Yes, Mr. Farrell, 30 seconds, please.
I just want to thank both of you for bringing up what I said at the very beginning of what I will do as mayor. We've got to hold accountable. We've got to build up our neighborhoods. In meeting with the Durrett Avenue Department just the other day, Monday, like I said, there are issues that have to be resolved. And so I, as the mayor, in building relationships with people, looking at each neighborhood individually, plan to bring a plan that is feasible for each individual network of neighbors.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. All right, and we'll move on to our fourth question, and this one goes to you, Mr. Farrell, first. What makes you the most qualified candidate for this office, and how will your experience translate to this office?
Yeah.
3 minutes, please.
When my wife and I moved our family here 11 years ago, we came to be pastors of a church that was dying and needed help. Over those last 11 years as pastor and seeing leadership grow, we're a growing, thriving church community. And what has already been said in building relationships, in meeting needs, in financial budgets, they go hand in hand with what a pastor does. Who else loves on people more than a pastor? Who else puts together budgets from what comes from people's free giving? We call it offering, and is responsible for every penny that I refer to it as holy money. In the same context, when I'm dealing with taxpayers' hard-earned money, the same is to be true as a mayor. As a pastor, I facilitate a network of volunteers. And unlike a business owner that gets to pay their employees, I, as a pastor, have to deal with constant turnover and people transitioning through moving and et cetera. The same is true with City Hall. You've got officials that will be transitioning possibly every other year. So I bring to the table a history, not just the last 11 years, but my DNA as a motivator, as an encourager, as someone who says, let's get the job done, and we're going to use the best source of our resources that we have available without over-exaggerating and exhausting people. To me, pastoring and mayoring just simply go hand in hand better than any other candidate that's represented. And that's why I believe if we can work together, we can make life worth living in Hoptown.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. And same question to you, Councilwoman West. What makes you the most qualified candidate for this office, and how will your experience translate to this office? 3 minutes, please.
Okay. I am the only qualified candidate for this seat. I am the only one that have years of experience, a diversified experience in regards to people. Yes, my other opponents, they do have some experience, but they do not have legislative experience. They do not have experience in advocating for a neighborhood, advocating for things that need to be repaired, things to be done. I'm a problem and solution-oriented leader. I have created programs and plans, implemented and developed it to turn children's behavior, not only behavior, but their academics around. I have a small business. I am a homeowner here. I grew up here and I live here, and I actually do like the people here. And I am the only one that will advocate for every neighborhood with the intensity of knowing how they feel. I know how it is to live on the east side, and I also know how it is to live in a different neighborhood where betterment have came from. And so I am the best qualified person because I have a compassion for people, and I know I will serve people fairly, and I will evaluate all problems fairly without being partial to being led by family or by friends or favorites, anything like that. So I am that candidate that you should vote for on May 17th. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Mr. Knight, same question to you. What makes you the most qualified candidate for this office, and how will your experience translate to this office? 3 minutes, please.
Thank you. I'm the best candidate for this office because I have lived here all my life, for one thing. Second thing, I know about business. I've run one for 33 years, to be exact. The business in this town, this city is no different than my business. We have to be accountable for every dollar that we spend for your taxpayers' money. If we do not be accountable for it, then we're just wasting your time and your money. Now, we have to be very passionate in how we spend it. We have to be passionate towards our neighborhoods. We have to be passionate towards our businesses. We have to be passionate towards our employees. Because if we don't do what we said we were going to do for our employees, and that's one of my main things I'm working for, is their retirement, is we're going to get that on a line item budget in the budget. Because if we don't, we're still lying to our employees. We have to take care of our employees. We have to take care of our citizens. And that's what I will do for the citizens of Hopkinsville.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mr. Farrell, 30 seconds.
Just wanted to echo that I greatly appreciate Ms. West repeating a lot of what I do as a pastor that relates to the city office. The one thing that is uniquely different that she did say when it comes to government experience. And if we look across our nation, the last thing we need are more politicians climbing the ladder and using people for their stepping stone. So I, as a pastor, have no hidden agenda. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing all my life. And there have been some policies that I've disagreed with city council that you sat on that I thought were inappropriate use of money. And so I'm hoping, as a pastor with utmost responsibility, love and care, like you said, for our community, to be able to move Hopkinsville forward.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. All right, and we will move on to the fifth and last question. And this one goes to you first, Councilwoman. What actions would you take to bring quality, high-paying jobs to our community? 3 minutes, please.
Before we can bring high-quality jobs to Hopkinsville, we have to really take a look at our school district. A lot of people are not aware that our school district, we have a 97 to 98% high school graduation rate. However, when it comes to college and career ready, only 30% of our children are college and career ready. So therefore, that means, yes, they are graduating, but they don't have the academic capacity to maintain themselves in college or on a job. So if we want high-paying jobs to come to this community, we have to take a look at what is actually taking place within our school district. It's not a blame game. It's none of that. It's just looking at our data to understand what we're dealing with. Sure. We know the numbers that we have with the school district, so we have to work with the school district to help. The way the city can help with that is we can address the issues within the neighborhoods, because that is what the city is responsible for. And we can support our school district. We can support Hopkinsville Community College. We can support Hopkinsville Murray State Campus and our surrounding universities. But the way we can do it is that we have to start with the education that we have here, and then also give opportunities. And we do have a lot of opportunities within our community to train people for better jobs. We have to let them know the resources that are affordable to them, and then help provide a way for them to get access to that. We do have transportation. However, a lot of people are not aware of the transportation that we do provide. But I would work diligently to advocate for this community and to get these high-paying jobs to come here. But we have to start with us first, and that starts with the education, because our workforce in this area comes from our school district. And if our children are not ready, then it's not going to work. And right now, the data is showing that our children in this area is not ready.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And same question to you, Mr. Knight. What actions would you take to bring quality, high-paying jobs to our community? 3 minutes, please.
We do need high-paying jobs because we need to bring up our level of pay on our annual income, because businesses look at our annual income as far as restaurants, even our businesses that are coming, our factories come in, what's your average income that you're paying these people? And that's what they bring in. And they look at how many restaurants we have, and how many people are working, how many, we have a people shortage, not a job shortage right now in Hopkinsville. But we have to bring up the pay so people were ready to go back to work instead of staying at home when they found out it was easy to stay home. Now, We got to get with our school system, like Ms. West said. I will say that. We have to work with Gateway Academy because not everybody's going to college. Not everybody goes to college. But, Gateway has done a great robotics. They're great on the vocational end of it, what they're doing in their weldings and classes and everything like that for our factories. So we have to work diligently with Gateway and our local school system and our community college to move it forward. But we have to bring up that wage because I'm sorry, people are saying, well, why do we not have this restaurant or why do we not have that one? Because you're not at a $50,000 or $60,000 annual income. And that's not going to happen until we bring income up in Hopkinsville.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. And Mr. Farrell, same question to you. What actions would you take to bring quality, high-paying jobs to our community? 3 minutes, please.
So part of my DNA as a leader is engaging with local employers. And so I'm going to continue to do that on a larger scale and being able to be the face of Hopkinsville, knowing that when I sit across the table from those who are interested in coming to Hoptown, being able to close the deal. Also want to echo that we've got to work with the education systems, like what was already said. That obviously is a high issue that we have to address. And hopefully the desire with the new school being built, we're going to see excellence increase all across the board. Again, as a pastor working hand in hand with elementary schools and helping them, my passion is to see every child to be able to elevate where they want to go, whether it be college or whether it be getting another education with out of state and then coming back to become an entrepreneur. And then lastly, as mayor, I would assign City Hall staff to connect education and workforce issues together. And as passionate as I am about neighborhoods, we also have to make sure those who sit on city council, they too wake up with a passion on how can I serve my people, how can I elevate them, and how can I change the culture of Hopkinsville. We've got to change the negative into a positive. Once people start taking pride in not only what they do, but who they are as individuals in our city, then we're going to see the tide start to churn and more businesses looking to Hopkinsville so they can plant some roots here as well.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell.
I want to rebuttal on that.
Yes, Councilwoman, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, in regards to that and to bring in high-paying jobs, what a lot of citizens do not know, it's not just education, but it's also our entire community that impacts bringing high-end jobs. It is about downtown, it's about neighborhood.
Sure.
It's about how we address our community. And if we want high-paying jobs to come, we are going to have to take a look at the things that we do. We're going to have to take a look and encourage citizens to have buy-in into the things that we are doing here. If we do not get the people to have buy-in, then how can we get another community, have another business to have buy-in? So the way that I want to do that is by collaborating with our nonprofit agencies, address the issues that we have, collaborate with our auxiliary entities that we have in the city, and then also collaborating with the chamber and with the college to bring high-end businesses here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, with that, we'll move on to our closing statements. And we're going to you, Mr. Knight, first. 2 minutes for closing statement, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the Republican Party. Thank you again to the city letting us use their chambers tonight. I am James R. Knight, Jr. I am your Republican candidate for mayor. I'm your best choice as far as I'm concerned. Now, as Hopkinsville, we have to make it grow. We have to get our budget under control. We have to look for growth. We have to look at how we're going to make our young people come back to Hoptown after they go to college and start their jobs and out in the world. Hoptown is a great place to live. There's no other place like Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And I can promise you that from my own children, because even in Colorado where she lives, there's no place like home, and she'll tell you that. Hopkinsville is the bright, shining place. And one day she will come back here. But we have to make it worth it. We have to have jobs. We have to have all in the community working together and moving forward for growth. If we do not have growth, we're not going to go anywhere, and young folks won't come back. Thank you. James R. Knight for mayor on May 17th for a better Hopkinsville.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mr. Farrell, closing statement, please. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I want to say thank you both for being here again. And as you can tell, we are passionate about our city. In fact, it was echoed just a few days ago, I believe, that every single one of us truly wants what's best for Hopkinsville. And so you, the voter, you have a big responsibility. You're going to have to figure out which candidate truly is going to bring innovation and put the ideas that have laid out on the table to work. And I believe that such a time as this, that now's a time to vote something a little different than what has been voted in the past. I'm not in anyone's back pocket. I'm not a part of any good old boy system. I'm not a politician, and I'm not spending big money on my campaign. I believe in doing things differently, because if you do the same things over and over, but expect different results, then that's truly the definition of insanity. To get up and do something that you don't believe in, it causes stress. To get up every day and do something you love, well, that's passion. And I'm very passionate about the people and citizens that we get to call friends and family and neighbors here in Hoptown. So on May 17th, I'm Vince Farrell. I'm running for mayor. I'm the Republican candidate that I'm asking you to vote for on May 17th, so we can then start the process of working together to make life worth living in Hoptown.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. And Councilwoman, same to you. Closing statement, 2 minutes, please.
Okay. I need you all to know that our city is a good city. We have good people, and we have, people that struggle. But what I can tell you is this: you're looking for a candidate that do not mind working with all people. You're looking for a candidate that do not mind going above and beyond to try to get people to aspire to stay here, to try to get businesses to come to our community, who's not afraid to get to the root cause of issues that we have in our community and address them. You're looking for a candidate that is wholeheartedly authentic and do not mind working with anyone. I am that candidate. I am that candidate that is conservative when it comes to spending money. However, I am that candidate that if we need to spend the money on something majorly important, we will do that. And that means bringing in jobs. That means revitalizing downtown. That means helping our neighborhoods to thrive. It is time for us to stop allowing people to survive, but we all need to thrive, and we need to thrive together. I am that candidate for that because I believe in people. I believe we have a lot of good things here in this city, and I want us to push that forward. But in order to push that forward, we have to get people to buy in and believe it. And I am that candidate that can encourage and motivate. I can't make you believe anything, but what I can do is show you the fruits that I bear. That serving as a current city councilwoman, I have worked diligently to serve Ward 3 and to get things done and fixed in Ward 3. You want a candidate that do not mind getting down in the dirt to get problems fixed. We cannot keep kicking the can down the road. We have to look at the issues that we have and fix it. But not only that, understand the good that we have here. We have a friendly community. We love easy living, and we love good eating. So what we need to do is kind of stop, focusing on the negative that we have and focus on the good that we have and promote the good and sell our city to other people so that they will want to come and live here. My name is Alethea West. I'm running for mayor here in Hopkinsville, and I would love to have your vote and your support. And I ask you to read about me at AletheaWestForMayor.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And thank you all for participating tonight.
Thank you.
And that concludes our forum for mayor. Please join us at 7:30 for our District 8 State Representative Forum. And don't forget to exercise your constitutional right to vote on May 17th.
Wonderful.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's primary forum hosted by the Christian County Republican Party and the Christian County Young Republicans. My name is Matt McGowan. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the city for allowing us to use the council chambers tonight, for Daryl for assisting us with setting up for tonight's event, and for Zach and IT for helping guide us through the event. In this segment, we will have the Republican primary candidates for District 8 State Representative. Our format will be simple. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. Once each candidate has finished with their introduction, we will begin a series of questions. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to answer each question. 30-second rebuttals will be granted upon the request of a candidate once each candidate has been given an opportunity to answer the original question. After our questions, each candidate will be given an additional 2 minutes for closing statements. We hope that our audience is as enthusiastic as we are about tonight's forum, but we ask that you hold your applause until the completion of each response. And with that, we'll start with our opening statements. And Judge Curling, you are first. 2 minutes, sir.
Good evening. I just want to introduce myself by telling you a little about myself. I'm the youngest of 5 children, and apologize, I'm going to keep gum in my mouth tonight. My allergies are killing me. But I'm the youngest of 5 children to Van and Avenel Curling. My dad was a truck driver. My mom worked in the school cafeteria. I'm a lifelong resident of Princeton, Kentucky. After graduating from Caldwell County High School, I earned my master's from Murray State University. I worked in the Caldwell County school system for 32 years. The first 20 years, I was a teacher. I taught 5th grade. In the last 12 years, I was in administration. I was a transportation and facilities director. I was a wrestling coach for a few years, coached football for over 20 years. I was assistant under Al Gianna for a few years and Pat Gates. I think he's from Christian County. I was an assistant with him for about 20 years. Over the last 8 years, I've been in county government. I was a magistrate for 4 years, and I'm in my 4th and final year as Caldwell County Judge Executive. I decided not to run again. Finally, I just want to thank this organization for putting on this event, and I look forward to answering the questions the best I can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Representative Thomas, 2 minutes for your opening statement, please.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's exciting to be here with friendly faces, and I'm truly humbled for y'all letting me serve as your state representative for the last 6 years. It's also neat that there's only a few of us that got leadership positions after right on our second term. So I've been chairing Veterans, Military Affairs, and Public Protections for the last 3 years. And hope to keep doing so. And a lot of people don't realize some of the questions that came through just recently on the mayoral or Tyler DeArmond, Sheriff DeArmond's, were all having to do with safety. Well, that comes through the committee I chair. So if you're scared of red flag laws and some of these things, I'm your first line of defense. So I ask that you keep the pro-life bills come through me. The Second Amendment rights come through me. I pushed over the summer to hear making Kentucky a sanctuary state for our Second Amendment rights. So some of this federal overreach that's coming down won't hit Kentucky. So these are some of the things that keep me in your leadership, and it takes a while to get there. There's not a lot of leaders up there that are chairing committees this quick. In fact, for about 1.5 years, they didn't realize that I was chairing 2 committees at one time, capital projects and Veterans, Military Affairs, Public Protection. So I ask that on May 17th that you keep me in office by re-electing Walker Thomas.
Thank you, Representative Thomas. And we'll move on to our first question. And Representative Thomas, this will go to you first. What are your top legislative priorities over the next 2 years? And do you have any legislation in mind that you would like to sponsor should you be elected?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I've already opened up a bill request this quickly. And this is how the process works. You have citizens that call you and say, listen, Walker, we need to look at maybe doing this to make our communities better and things. So I'm working with Chief Sumner and Sheriff DeArmond and some others. And what we're trying to do is a deferred retirement option plan. It's called DROP. And what that would allow is some of our police officers, if we're having a hard time staffing some of those spots there, they would go ahead and be able to retire, draw their retirement, but they would come back and still work for the city. Well, that money that they would make as their normal salary is put into a deferred retirement option plan for them. And if they opt for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, at the very end, we cut them a check for that. So they're living off their retirement, but then they eventually will be able to get a nice check if they decide to stay on. So those are just some of the things. My biggest priority, as most of you know, is tax exempt military pensions. I've followed it all 6 years now. But I think it was part of the discussion of why we passed HB 8 just recently, where we are slowly getting away from state income tax. So we have trigger mechanisms so we don't get off of it too quick like Kansas did and have to reshuffle. So as these trigger mechanisms are hit, the percentage of income tax, which is productivity tax, why are we taking your money for working? So it's slowly we're going to wean us off of that. So.
Thank you, Representative Thomas. And Judge Curling, the same question to you. What are your top legislative priorities over the next 2 years? And do you have any legislation in mind that you would like to sponsor should you be elected? 3 minutes, please.
I believe in putting as much money as possible in infrastructure. Caldwell County, we blacktopped over 75 miles of county roads in the last 3 years, and we're on this year we're going to do another 25 miles, so that's 100 miles. We're also working to get internet service to all our county residents. Just because you live out in the county in the rural areas doesn't mean you should have a good road and good affordable internet just like everybody else. I'm also like Walker. I believe in a consumption tax. You look at the states like Texas and Florida, they don't have an income tax. You see how they're growing. You look at a place like California where they charge, I think it's over 13%, the highest state income tax in the country. They're losing people. So you can have a choice, be like California or be like Texas or Florida. And we have a dire need for workers. If you work, that's a good thing. You get a raise. When they're not taking income tax out of your check, that's a raise. And hopefully that'll help get more workers here. We're in a dire need for workforce. That's our number one need in Caldwell County, finding enough workers to fill the jobs we have.
Thank you, Judge Curling. And we'll move on to our second question. And Judge Curling, this one will go to you first. Before it was killed in the Senate by a display of political theater, an amendment to HB 28 stripped it of its application to private entities. The final version of HB 28 that passed the House restricted public entities from forcing employees to divulge immunization status. Do you believe this final version of HB 28 went far enough to protect the medical freedom of Kentucky workers? 3 minutes, please.
Yes, I do. It should be your choice. You shouldn't be forced to do anything. But, and be honest with you, I'm not familiar with the bill. A lot of these bills I'm not familiar with. I don't know if you heard lately, but we had a tornado in Caldwell County, and I've been dealing with that on a daily basis, 10 hours a day. Still dealing with it. Met with FEMA several times a day, just trying to get our money back. But I believe in personal choice.
Thank you, Judge Curling. And the same question to you, Representative Thomas.
I'm fine if you don't want to repeat it.
Okay.
We'll save some time. Savannah Maddox it has filed that, and I was working with her quite a bit on that one. You're exactly right, and Larry is too. This should be people's choice. It's whether or not you're putting something inside of your body that hasn't been tested fully yet. And the worst thing about it is we've granted immunity at a federal level that these companies, Pfizer and Johnson and them, that they're immune to liability. So we have no idea what's going to our body. Does it help? Well, I mean, our vice president right now is sitting there with COVID, and she's had every shot possible. So does it really help? The jury's still out on that. I mean, I look back and it's like, it's crazy over these last couple of years. Well, yeah, we've had plenty of COVID, but we cured the flu. It's like some of this just doesn't make sense. So I think Savannah's Maddox bill, HB 28, was watered down a lot. And towards the end, she was really upset, once I spoke with her.
Thank you, Representative Thomas. We'll move on to our third question. Representative Thomas, this one will go to you first. What can be done at the state level to deal with the growing issue of homelessness in our community?
Well, that's a good one. Really, the way I look at that, so many of our Christian organizations and things help deal with some of this. We have our Salvation Army that does a great job. We have, Boys and Girls Club that we got $10 million into the budget. We fought hard to try to get that, to have some of our kids actually, get ahead and try to get jobs where they don't become homeless. We'll just have to work with the shelters, keep funding. Most of that's at a city level a little bit. I would be interested if we can find out where we could get the dollars to try to address it as a whole state. But some of these issues kind of fall at a local level. And if they have propositions to tell us, let us know. We'll fight to try to get those things in the budget. But most cities are uniquely positioned to have to deal with that themselves so much instead of a blanket brush across at the state level.
Okay, thank you, Representative Thomas. And Judge Curling, same question to you.
We do deal with that on a local level. We work with our churches and organizations. We don't have a big problem with that in Caldwell County, but some of your larger cities do. A lot of it has to do with mental health. Most people you see do have mental health problems. So we work with our organizations on a daily basis. If we have people that need a place to go during the night, we find them a spot. But our churches are real good about helping us with that problem.
Thank you, Judge Curling. We'll move on to the fourth question. And this one goes to you first, Judge Curling. Last Thursday, a U.S. District Judge granted a temporary injunction blocking the enforcement of HB 3. Her temporary order allowed Planned Parenthood and the EMW Women's Surgical Center to continue to murder unborn children for the next 14 days. Both entities, Planned Parenthood and EMW, are fighting to make temporary injunctions permanent. Your opponent in the general election is proudly endorsed by Planned Parenthood. How will you highlight her radical views and continue Kentucky's progress towards protecting the lives of the unborn children?
I will always be pro-life. I've just, I've had a lot of experience with that situation. Anything that has, and when you're a teacher for all those years, you hear stories, you talk to parents on a daily basis, ones that would have done a certain thing, and they are so glad they didn't do that thing now. But I'm always pro-life, anything I can do to help that situation. But what you're talking about, I'm not familiar with, but whatever I could do, I'm always for pro-life.
All right, thank you, Judge Curling. And the same question to you, Representative Thomas.
I'm okay with it because I'm very familiar with HB 3. Nancy Tate, representative from up around Elizabethtown, she does a phenomenal job. She's on the pro-life caucus. She's actually our leader in the pro-life caucus. If you can see here, I have 10-week-old baby feet. I wear them proudly every time I'm in session or if I'm out anywhere with a coat on. That's the size of a feet at a 10-week fetus. And those are being murdered. We passed a few years back the dismemberment. They were taking infants from the wounds by limb. We passed that. It's still being fought, but Attorney General Cameron is still fighting for that cause to get that upheld. Some of this legislation, I mean, we have to fight for. HB 3, at least some of us were sitting there saying, we were celebrating when Planned Parenthood closed for at least a couple days. That could be some lives that we saved, at least for those couple days. So I was really excited. We got the 15-week abortion ban in there also. So we took our bill over in the House and merged it with Max Wise's Senate bill and got a bill that was really good overall. And I know Daniel Cameron, our AG, will fight this all the way to the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Representative Thomas. And to our final question, Representative Thomas, this will go to you first. What makes you the most qualified candidate for this office? 3 minutes, please.
Well, I have a lot of experience. I started actually up on the wall. You see that guy, Herb Hayes, right next to Sherry Jeffers there. Well, he was the first Republican to get elected and then got elected to, our mayor. But shortly afterwards, back in '94, I was the second Republican to get elected on city council. I was the only Republican up here. It was kind of Republican when it wasn't cool to be a Republican. But I served there. So, now I've served up at state for 6 years. And I tell you, there's a knack to it. Larry and I were both asked, about term limits and things, and there is a balance. You don't need new people all the time, or else the institution runs everything. You have to have some leaders that have been up there a while because they know how to get things done. I passed 3 bills this year, working one with Beverly Fort, House Bill 277, great bill. You now can get your teacher certification in 3 years. We've been working with her and Murray State to do that. But I've had my hands on probably 8 to 10 others. So as a chairman, I get handed a pile of bills. And instead of trying to carry them all myself, I know who to divvy them out to because I've had relationships with all 100 state reps up there and senators. So sometimes I will hand a bill and we'll start it over in the Senate if I feel like it's a better chance to get it all the way through. So I have the experience, I have the know-how, and most importantly, I know where all the bathrooms are.
Thank you, Representative Thomas. And Judge Curling, same question to you. What makes you the most qualified candidate for this office?
40 plus years of public service. There's not much I hadn't heard. I dealt with people on a daily basis. I go to their homes. I listen to their concerns. Potholes, trash, dogs. I've heard it all. I deal with them daily. I take their phone calls. They have my cell phone number. They call me daily. I probably had 50 phone calls a day dealing with potholes especially. We hear it every day. Dealing with their electric bills. I deal with people on a daily basis. I've been doing that for years. And I have a work ethic. I've worked my entire life. And from a young boy, cutting tobacco, hauling hay, building silos, there's not much I hadn't done. Construction, blacktopping. I think work ethic goes into anything you do. If you're willing to put the time in, then you'll be okay. No matter what the situation, you learn to deal with everything. But dealing with people on a daily basis for 40 plus years. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Curling. And we'll move on to our closing statements. Judge Curling, you'll be first on this. 2 minutes for your closing statements, please.
Running for office isn't easy. You put yourself out there, and with social media these days, it can be pretty tough at times. I don't do social media as much. I had someone help me do a Facebook page just last week, Larry Curling for state representative. I didn't have a clue how to do it, but I'm dealing with that. And so far, nobody's put anything crazy on there. I try not to read it. But there's one thing I've learned dealing with politics. I said I coached for over 20 years. I cannot stand bad sportsmanship. If this race comes down to me losing, you will never hear me say one thing about him or the other opponent. You shake the opponent's hand, you walk across the field, you shake their hand and say, great job, and the voters have spoken. I cannot stand bad sportsmanship. Finally, I just want to say, you can probably tell my voice, it's not the greatest in the world. My wife says I have a personality like a doorknob, so I'm not the greatest talker in the world, but I do have the work ethic. So any consideration for your vote on May the 17th, I would appreciate it, and best luck to Walker and all the other opponents. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Curling. And Representative Thomas, 2 minutes for your closing statement, please.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us here. And these are important. Larry and I get 5 debates. So when you pick up an extra county, we've done redistricting, and that's why Larry and I are talking amongst each other right now. Is Caldwell is now in District 8. It's exciting times, but I tell you what, our nation's under attack. Our state's under attack. I never thought we would be dealing with some of these social issues. Who would ever think that you would have to sit there and say, guys, you can't compete against our girls? Yeah, what's up? I mean, there's some crazy things going on. I look forward to being able to fight for your conservative values still. I just received yesterday the endorsement of the NRA. I've received it every year, and I'm proud of that. Great organization. I've received the endorsement of Kentucky Right to Life every year, and usually the Chamber of Commerce. I don't think theirs has come out yet, but I hope to. We'll see what happens there too. So I really hope that you consider keeping me on as your state representative. I look forward to representing the people in Caldwell. Look forward to meeting them. If anyone in Trigg County knows, and they can tell the people in Caldwell County, I'm down in Trigg a lot. I'm here a lot. I sit into all of our debates. I'm very actively involved in the community, but give me 3 communities, I'll be equally active in all 3. So I'm Walker Thomas. I'm running for your state rep, and I ask that you reelect me on May 17th. And remember, get out and vote.
Thank you, Representative Thomas, and thank you, gentlemen, for participating tonight. That concludes our forum for District 8 State Representative. Please join us tomorrow at 5 o'clock for our City Council forums. We have a Republican event that we'd like to announce, May 6th at Casey Jones Distillery, 5:30. We'd love to have anyone come out that is available. And don't forget to exercise your constitutional right to vote on May 17th. Thank you.